Hello, and welcome to Insurance Agents Talk Shop. I'm your host, Doug Coombs, Chief Marketing Officer at SIAA. Today's episode is the role of the wholesale brokerage firm in insurance agencies or within agencies. I'd like to introduce my guest, Joel Cavaness, President of Risk Placement Services, perhaps better known as RPS. Although RPS is national in terms of business geography, they are headquartered in Rolling Meadows, Illinois. Welcome, Joel, and thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks, Doug, and certainly thanks for this opportunity to address all of your members and certainly all of our very important customers, and appreciate being able to do this morning.
Great. And so in the interest of full disclosure, because the podcast itself will actually distribute beyond our membership will have it available as well as insurance agents across the country. I just want to make sure that our listeners know that RPS is a significant business partner of SIAA, and many of SIAA's member agencies place business through RPS on a regular basis. So here we go. Joe, I'd like to start off by asking if you could provide some information about your background in the insurance industry, maybe give our listeners a chance to get to know you a bit.
Sure. Happy to do that, Doug. So I, like many of your members and many of the people that might be listening to this podcast, I actually grew up in the independent agency system. My father bought a very small independent agent in deep Southern Illinois back in 1965, when I was 4 or 5 years old. So now you kind of can figure out how old I am. So my roots to the independent agency system go way, way back. My childhood was pretty much centered around the vacations were always association groups that my father belonged to back then and way back, or the independent agents of Illinois or America. Vacation spots while my father was working. Fortunately, as a young child, we were all able to go to the pool and enjoy some of the convention spots, very similar to so many of the folks on this in the audience. And so I went to college with, candidly, with the full intent of getting into the insurance business, and for full transparency, really to intended at that point to go back to Southern Illinois and work for my father or with my father to kind of go down the path of being a independent agent. My path, unlike my brother, who actually did come back to town and who did end up taking over the agency, my path kind of took a little bit of a different turn. I ended up, going into the underwriting ranks for several years. Then moved into the retail side with a large national broker who fortunately gave me the opportunity to start a wholesale business back in 1997. It was very small at the time. We started it with four people, and then over the last 20 years, really spent time working to grow that business, and now we're up to close to 3,000 folks, and it's been an awful lot of fun working with our markets, working with our employees, and then certainly working with our customers. I'm very fortunate that I do love insurance. It is just, as one of my mentors used to say, it is the best business on earth. You can't run a global economy around without insurance. It's a noble profession, and one that, of course, everybody that's in it, tends to love it and educate themselves around it. And I did the same thing with getting a CPCU and an ARM and other designations that I hold very dear. And so that's a little bit about my background. Again, I underwrote for a few years. I got to say that I'm a better broker than I am an underwriter. So I do enjoy it, and I just love this business. There's just so much to learn, so many different avenues that your career can take, and we enjoy it a lot.
Terrific. So that's actually a success story as well as deep roots in the insurance industry.
There's a lot of us out there that have deep roots. Fortunately, I know I'm sure there's people who listen to this podcast that are multi-generational in the insurance business, and it used to be, or it still is actually, because my niece is in our business, my nephew, my daughter, my fiance, my brother, all of these people. So if you're not in the insurance business at Thanksgiving, you're kind of left out.
No conversation to be had.
Exactly.
Very good. Very good. Thanks for sharing that with us. And so I'd like to move into to my first probably on point question, if you will. And it is that my perception that the first encounter many agents have with RPS and frankly any wholesaler or brokerage is when they can't place a policy with their traditional conventional carriers and they need an alternative. Would you say that's an accurate perception on my part? And if so, how do you expand the relationship with the agent after that initial encounter? And if it's not an accurate perception, please go ahead and set me straight.
No, I think that's a pretty accurate perception. I think there's many times that people use a firm like ours, and you hit the kind of the nail on the head. It's when people are struggling with a particular piece of business that the contracts or the affiliations that they have inside of their particular agency, due to class, due to nature, due to history in business. All the different factors that might go into, loss history, might go into the fact that their stable of markets might not be interested in that particular account. It could be very complicated. It could be specialized. And that's generally the first taste of why you come to a firm like RPS, to be able to get your customers' needs fulfilled. In a specialized way. If when you think beyond that, there might be talents that we possess within our firm, whether it's a program that people might want access to that's very specialized. We have almost 40 different specialized programs that are exclusive to RPS, where we underwrite the account. So it might be something along that line, or it might be a healthcare account, which might have difficulty getting placed, or we might be able to negotiate special terms and conditions that really work towards the needs of the client. And then I guess really thinking about it maybe a little bit deeper, there are certain accounts, Doug, as you know, doing this for a long time, where maybe you shouldn't put it in your standard market, because we all know that in the economics of an independent agent's business, we all certainly want to enjoy profit sharing agreements that we have with our standard carriers. And maybe there's a particular account that you're uncomfortable, while maybe that particular carrier might be willing to accept that particular account. But it might make sense to put it in with one of our markets, because it would protect your profit sharing. And sometimes that makes an awful lot of sense, to really be able to protect your profit sharing from an account that might, in your eyes, have more risk than one of your standard markets should take, or it's probably just again a way for you to protect some of the income that your agency enjoys.
Well, that certainly addresses the question of certainly the role of a brokerage firm such as RPS in the independent agency. And so as I think about that, and I think about the fact that RPS is really quite a large organization these days, I'm wondering how you manage to develop relationships with insurance agents at the local level.
Yeah, so obviously, firms like the SIA make those kind of connections easier for us, certainly. Give us a platform to be able to do things like this, introduce our capabilities, introduce the types of things that we can do for them. That makes it certainly a leg up. I've been to your conventions. I've done the round tables, meeting lots of different agencies. And that is, if you can go down and spend 2 or 3 days and meet hundreds or present to hundreds of independent agents, that certainly is a platform that we appreciate and enjoy. But I think obviously when you have a firm like us, it's really important to us to be able to market on a hand-to-hand basis, get to go see them, make sure that we're pushing all of our marketing material and our intelligence. Part of our role, which we do quite effectively, is provide constant updates as to what the market's doing, what our products are doing, what capabilities we are able to offer our customers as an intermediary, as a wholesaler, or maybe as an MGA, maybe as a specialist, and continuing to deliver cutting edge products that might be a way to sell more insurance. And I always think about that again. Not to dwell on my past history of being an independent agent, but my father was always just looking for something to sell, right? And if I can provide that opportunity or that avenue or that product for him to go out and sell it, then I continue to add value, and that's part of our role. Part of our role is to add value to independent agents, to be able to give them additional products that maybe they wouldn't otherwise have access to, and give them a track. I mean, some of our products and programs, especially for young people, maybe they're a developing, producer in a particular agency, and they need a track. They need a specialty. They need something where I might have a product for country clubs or for amateur sports or for whatever it might be, that we can arm them with all the information and feel comfortable calling on every garage operation in their geographical area. So it's really that kind of value that we want to be able to provide all the way around to, again, make both of us more successful together.
And that does make sense for sure. I guess I want to take that maybe to the next level then. And as I think about SIAA's member agencies, I know that many of them are smaller in size, and they tend to focus on personal lines insurance. And I'm wondering how RPS fits into their business process.
Yeah, so we've become quite popular in personal lines. We do a lot of personal lines. I call it our strategy around personal lines is kind of a thought around something that we developed a number of years ago, which was everything from mobile homes to mansions. Again, we can offer especially in catastrophic prone areas, whether that's California or Florida or Texas or candidly, a lot of states right now that are going through some pretty tough times as respects, catastrophic events, natural disasters, or other areas, again, in protection class or makeup or vacant areas, where we can actually, we have in-house authority for lots of different personal lines carriers, including Lloyd's, that people can take advantage of. We do an awful lot of personal lines, which is very different than some of our other competitors who focus on large accounts or focus on more commercial only type accounts. We enjoy and are truly successful in the personal line space.
Gotcha. As you say that, I'm thinking that a lot of folks who aren't members of SIAA who listen to this podcast may be surprised to find out about the extent of your focus on personal lines.
It's a big growing business that we continue to add resources to. We do close to $500 million of personal lines business in RPS. So it is a segment that we focus on heavily.
Great. Okay. So switching, I guess, or pivoting a little bit here, I'm thinking about the fact that from my viewpoint and from my experience in dealing with RPS, your team has excelled at introducing new coverages and being quite successful at expanding those coverages. And in the case of SIAA member agencies, I know cyber insurance has been a tremendous success. In fact, your team created a product specifically for SIA's member agencies that was both affordable and provided the necessary coverage. Given that type of success at introducing products for insurance agents as well as their clients, do you foresee something or some new product types as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and maybe what you might see coming in 2021?
Yeah, Doug, I think there's going to be a lot of new products surrounding, the pandemic and all the various changes that all of us, not just not your clients, but all of us will be facing as we maybe reflect back closer as to the way that certain policies either did or didn't respond to the pandemic. And then, of course, we always have that that lovely thing called politics and the government in the way that they may or may not force our particular industry to respond to the pandemic. I don't think any of us in our wildest dreams, maybe some crazy book writer or movie maker would have, prognosticated about the extent that COVID is brought to us. But I do believe that we are already working on various types of coverage that would respond to pandemic. All of those are questions that we'll be working with your members and other independent agents across the country and in designing. Because anytime you're developing products, it's always a wild card as to what the take up opportunity of a particular new type of coverage would give. But I think between us and the broad insurance community, the carriers, we're all going to have to be faced with developing new coverages and new endorsements that will respond candidly, maybe a little bit differently to the pandemic. But I think that there will be a broad request for those type of coverages, and that could be more parametric in nature. In other words, if you have a particular event, you don't necessarily have to have or prove a loss. But you've probably seen, and many people have read about certain not pandemic, but parametric triggers that say, if a certain event occurs around your location, the coverage will respond with no need to be able to provide an actual evidence of loss. And I think those are going to become much more popular in the coming years because it really does provide for a really no fuss, no muss coverage trigger that says, yep, the earth shook. It shook to this level, and the policy will respond. And I think there'll be many more coverage, triggers around those types of coverages. And I look forward to being able to be on the cutting edge of providing those for distribution through the independent agency system.
Wow.
I think the pandemic is one problem. Obviously, we've had a lot of unfortunate events around the country. In response to protests and damage and different things that have gone on around that. So one of the things that we have developed, which is pretty cutting edge, is the coverages around those particular types of events, whether that's active shooter or whether that's just a crisis. We have a coverage called Crisis Protect, which provides coverage for almost any type of event surrounding certain things that have been going on around the country. So our job in our business, especially as respects E&S, that does give us freedom of rate and form. We can get products into the marketplace in a very rapid fashion because they don't have to be filed with particular states. And that's what we do. That's what we've been known to do. And many of the things that we, just like the cyber that you referenced, many of the things that we've been able to develop, in years to come, they become more mainstream, and more of the standard markets are willing, after we've incubated the product and it's been out there for a few years, and loss results have been able to be promulgated, then they have a tendency to copy what we do, and then we go do the next thing. That's part of the nature of our business.
Sure, that makes sense. And having said that, I had another question. I'm going to skip to one here though, because I'd like to follow up on that. Given what you've just described, and given the fact that I'm aware of some of your successes, your organization's successes, and the depth of the products that you provide when it comes to professional liability and E&O, transportation, and cyber, as I mentioned before, are there other areas of coverage which you believe your organization excels today?
Yeah, so beyond what you described, there's certainly lots of areas where we specialize. You mentioned transportation. That we are candidly, we're the best. I can't describe it any other way. And sometimes when you're proud of something, you should just say it. And I will tell you that we are the best when it comes to transportation across the entire country. But there's so many other areas. It could be, again, as I mentioned a little while ago, garage. It's a big niche for us. We play very well across the entire nation with firms that are, repair garages or used car lots, all kinds of things that we do there. You certainly mentioned the broad array of professional liability. When it comes to healthcare, we've got a healthcare team that is just spectacular in the way that they've been able to respond to some of the difficult nature of assisted living or long-term care, or hospitals or doctor groups, or emergency medical response. We're very good at all of those particular coverages, and of course those are niche areas, along with, of course, the general property and casualty marketplace that does continue to evolve and change and become more difficult in certain areas for certain types of insureds. And then I would certainly be remiss, because I talked about the 40 different programs that we underwrite on behalf of our exclusive carrier relationships. Those are all just wonderful growing programs that, again, people can actually take those programs and work with their either client base or potential client base in their geography to be able to offer a specialized product that fits the very specific needs of that customer. Those are exciting. It's fun to be able to have something. I call it a little bit of an unfair advantage. If you're a salesperson, even on the retail side, and you have an exclusive relationship that no one else can get to, I call that the unfair advantage. And that's what we're all looking for, the unfair advantage. So anytime that we can help again, in D&O or in social services or in all of these broad array of product offerings that we have. We're happy to align. We're happy to help train. We're happy to help make sure that they're getting the kind of service that they need to be able to turn things around.
Wow. And what you've just described really requires a great deal of knowledge. And it makes me wonder, as I understand it, that the RPS underwriters provide some real informational expertise to insurance agents regarding these various coverages and these unique situations. And how would you define, or how important is that for your organization as well as the insurance agent?
Yeah, I think that's part of our job. We are call it I call it a deep rooted professional industry. We provide advice, just like your members and other independent agents. That's what people hire you to do, to be able to provide advice on what you need, what you should buy, and then certainly the best value that you can get for a particular dollar. That's the same responsibility that RPS has, is being able to make sure that we're able to properly communicate the coverage, the need of the coverage. And then honestly, in our particular business, it's also to make sure that we can properly communicate exactly what is covered. Everybody sometimes asks for the world. And sometimes in my particular part of the industry, you can't get the entire world just due to the nature of the account of the insured. And we want to be able to do a professional job of making sure that we can communicate and discuss in person, not just by email or other ways, but in person, and properly communicate the coverages that you're getting.
Gotcha. Okay. So, listening to you today, I'm hearing a lot of pride about your organization. So I'm wondering if you might share with us what it is about RPS that makes you most proud.
Wow. Yeah, there's a couple of things, and I would have difficulty pinpointing it to only one. But recently, just in the last few days, we've been named by both IBA magazine as well as Business Insurance magazine as one of the best places to work in the insurance industry. Those aren't designations or awards that you receive just based on what I might say. I would obviously say it's a great place to work. It's got a great culture. These particular publications actually go to our employees without any advance notice to us, and it's done in an anonymous way. And then a particular percentage of all of those things that they send out to our employee base, a certain percentage of those, a large percentage, have to be responded back by the folks that are inside of RPS. And we performed very, very well. So we were recognized by both of those publications as a great place to work. That's just a starting point for us. It's part of our culture. It's a lot about being involved in our communities in which we live and work. It's about giving back through charitable, activities. Of actually, everybody being part of that. We took off, just as an example, we took off the extra day, since we had an extra day in February. Now things were different, of course. But we took the leap year day off, and we asked everybody in RPS to take that day and go do some community service, give back to the communities in which you work and live, and make some small amount of difference to others. And I think that that does kind of go a long way in your culture, a long way to making sure that you're operating a healthy business for people to build their careers. And then lastly, I guess other than our financial and growth success, a long time ago, again, a very important mentor to me said, you're not employing people, you're employing families.
Hmm.
And I've always taken that to heart. That if I do this right, and I have important and satisfy your membership and your customers and other independent agents, that we are able to provide financial wherewithal for people to put food on the table, clothe their kids, hopefully send their kids to college. All the other things that go around a family unit. And I take that to heart. If I mess up and I don't, make the right calls at the right time and the right actions, you can have an adverse impact on a family. And as an employer or as a leader, you always have to take that to heart. And I'm very proud of the fact that we're able to provide for so many, especially in today's environment.
That's excellent. That's congratulations on the awards, and that's a commendable attitude and approach with your people, and you are to be commended for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So my last question, and we are running out of time, so I'm wondering if you might succinctly sum up the role of RPS, a wholesale insurance broker, in the business of an insurance agency.
Yeah, in a very succinct way, Doug, going right back to kind of where I was before. Our job is to be able to provide you and your members and other independent agents a marketplace that they need that can't be fulfilled by their standard markets. And again, to be able to provide all of our retailers and customers a way to sell more insurance.
Terrific. I want to thank you for sharing with our listeners today. And I want to remind everyone that our guest today has been Joel Cavaness, President of Risk Placement Services. If you'd like to learn more about RPS, please visit rpsins.com. And thanks to all of you for listening to this episode of Insurance Agents Talk Shop. I'm Doug Coombs, Chief Marketing Officer at SIAA, and I hope you'll join us next time. To learn more about SIAA, please visit siaa.com. Joel, thank you again for joining us.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate the opportunity.